Dope.
Okay, I'll start out. You want to start?
Yeah, I mean, we're back.
We're back, baby. This will be episode 5, right?
Episode 5.
Yeah, because we have Jordan's podcast, which is out now. And then, yeah, we're just throwing in some content in the mix of these other people that we're going to be interviewing. So it's pretty exciting.
I mean, we had some ideas of what we wanted to talk about today. Really, I feel like what was coming up for me was that we talk about our meditation practice and just show people what it looks like for us and why we do it. Because ultimately it's a huge part of our lives and has changed us completely. Like, it's been everything, to be honest. You know, I think we've kind of shared our journeys a little bit. Maybe not.
Not on here, at least.
Really, have we not?
I don't think so. Not like in depth of why we meditate and why it's so important. Maybe a tiny bit, but I don't think we've explained our practice.
I think episode 1 we talked about our journey to get
That's correct.
to there, but I think it's talking about our practice and how it looks and why we do it is important. So I guess we'll start with you, Mark.
Yes.
What does your meditation practice look like right now? And at least consistently, like, does it always look the same? Does it always feel the same? Is it like the same times? Like, how much do you meditate and what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so right now with my meditation practice, I meditate twice a day. I also do Joe Dispenza's breath work twice a day, which is, squeezing your energy centers to your pineal gland, that cerebral spinal fluid, so you can activate your pineal gland all the time. And I love the activation I love my pineal gland being activated.
It also produces chemicals in the body that feel really good too.
Yes.
We have a natural pharmacy in our brain.
Right.
That is producing oxytocin and love chemicals and chemicals that decrease pain, like things that we're taking in our pharmaceuticals that we can actually produce from our brain alone, from this breath. So, and there's a lot. We could talk more about the breath if people want that, because it's so in depth and there's actually so much more to it than just that. That is just like a little taste. But
it is so in depth, and we should do one on that.
Probably, yeah, we will, because
it's everything.
The electromagnetic field.
It's powerful. Oh my God, yeah. But yeah, so I do that breath work, and then I meditate twice a day. And each meditation is different for me too. Like, sometimes I get hooked on a meditation, and I'll do that for a while. But most meditations that I do are 1 hour. So I'll do 1 hour in the morning, and I wake up at 4 a.m. And it's usually about 45 minutes to an hour. And then in the evening, I just do it whenever I can. Like, it could even be at 11 p.m. sometimes. Like, I'll throw on an hour one, or I'll throw on a 45-minute one. And if I'm really tired and feel like I can't stay coherent enough and I'll fall asleep feeling, I do 30 minutes, which is pretty rare. But I get that 45 to an hour in at night as well. But
no matter what time is it always before bed?
Yeah, it's before bed. Sometimes if I have time at 5, I'll do it. Yeah, and even if I have time during the middle of the day, I just want to make sure I get that 2 hours in if possible, or at least 2 meditations in. Okay,
so you're not super strict, other than the morning's pretty consistent on time.
Yeah, that's the one I'm really strict about, because as you know, the more, when you wake up that early, you're in that theta wave state, or that dream state, and where you can have mystical experiences. And even though most nights I get maybe 5 hours of sleep, maybe even 4 sometimes, I feel great the next day. And the more I've been doing meditation in the mornings, consistently for 5 to 6 months now, I don't get tired. I'm so used to waking up early and only getting 5 or 4 hours of sleep. And I feel pretty amazing most of the day. Because my vibration is different. I'm in a higher state. I've been, I focus in more on my heart in my meditation. So it's like I'm in my upper energy centers. So I feel like there's more joy and happiness. So I feel like when you're in, sadness and pain in your lower centers, that causes like sadness and tiredness, and you get sleepy and like you feel worse. So I think that's why I feel great most of the time, because of 2 hours a day. Like 1 hour a day I think is great too. Like that is great. But for me, I notice like that the 2 hours, doing one in the morning, one at night, it elevates my life even more. I feel like I have more mystical experiences, and I feel more in my heart all the time, and my heart like explodes randomly sometimes, and like it's like bliss for no reason, and I love that feeling. I don't want that to go away. But yeah, so that's kind of like, you asked me, what is my meditation practice? Yeah, so it's 2 hours a day meditating, and I do it with Joe Dispenza's meditations most of the time.
Yeah, so me and Mark both practice Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations, and I feel like we should describe kind of what those look like and why we do them, because were you complete?
No, I think that was
anything else you wanted to share?
No, that's good, and we can I'll ask you what's your favorite Joe Dispenza meditation, or what do you want to explain about Joe's meditations?
So yeah, I would like to talk about Dr. Joe's meditations. Most are about 45 minutes to an hour, 15-minute long, and we both do the breath, which we talk about. But the meditation is structured in a way, it's like scientifically backed by the music, by his tone of voice. Sometimes it's very unsettling for people, because most people are used to like, imagine yourself walking through a forest, or like imagine a white light coming down. Like it's very loving and gentle. But Dr. Joe's are like mystical music and like sit up, like it's monotone, deep, extended voices with gaps in between what he's saying, because the music is at a certain frequency. His voice is toned for a specific reason, so that we can lower our brain waves from beta to alpha to delta to theta. I think it's delta theta. It might be theta delta. I can't remember right now.
I got it confused too.
And then there's gamma, which is like ultra presence, and beta, as I've learned more, beta is, you got high beta, low beta. High beta is basically fight or flight. That is when the brain is activated. It's like on edge. That's stress, anxiety, fear. That's where a lot of people are living in on a day-to-day basis. And then there's low beta, which is like an activated brain, where there's contemplation, there's analyzing. It's usually very active. And then once you move into alpha, it's like flow state. That is the creative state. Mm-hmm. And that is a lot of times, right, once you get through those thoughts is where you break into alpha. And then once you really get deep is when you drop into delta or theta. I can't remember which one. I always kind of get confused for some reason. But
I do too, yeah.
So his meditations are structured in a way to get you there. So he starts off all of them a little different, but there's always a portion at the beginning where he takes you into nothing, where he'll be like, tune into nothing, and that's to really just bring you back from thoughts and like focusing on space, focusing on nothing.
Right.
Because the more you connect to nothing, the more you just become nothing, and there's no thought, no one, nowhere, no time, right?
Okay.
And once you're there that's where you're in a space to create from. And so once he moves you through, everyone's different. Some of them take you into nothing the whole time to practice that space. And some of them take you into nothing for 15 minutes, and then he has you tune into different frequencies, and by frequencies I mean emotions. Like there's one called Syncing Your Energy to Abundance. Starts with the breath, takes you into nothing for about 15-20 minutes, and then he tunes you to freedom, because that's an associated feeling with abundance. He tunes you into abundance. Then he tunes you into gratitude, because gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership and one of the most powerful emotional states of being, because when you're grateful for something, it means you already have it. And then he tunes you into synchronicities, which we've talked about synchronicities in one of our first couple episodes, which is signs from the universe that something is different. Something is, you've cause and effect in your reality. So to some extent, you created a shift in your reality through that meditation based on your feedback from synchronicities. And so that's kind of his structure, and then he brings you back to your body, and then it's usually when your brain comes back into alpha, beta. And yeah, it's powerful. I mean, I've been doing it for over 2.5 years, about 2.5 years now.
Yeah, you've been doing it for longer than I have.
My consistency is all right. I think mornings, over 2.5 years, I've probably hit 90 to 95% of my mornings.
Nice. Nice. That's great.
The breath has been jarring for me at times, like very unsettling. I've had some like experiences that feel terrifying, but I do have a theory that it's like pulling up those energies from those lower centers. So that's where that fear maybe comes from. But the more I practice it, the better I feel, the more connected I am to my heart, and the more of an ability I have to consciously create my reality. And so, yeah, I mean, my evening ones have been lacking lately, especially the last few months as I've been struggling in my own space. But I'm coming back to center and like getting back to my discipline and my consistency, while also being gentle with myself.
Yeah, that's important.
So did you have anything you wanted to add about the meditations and to why you do Dr. Joe's meditations?
I love what you said, because I forgot that he creates those meditations and has different frequencies of his voice and the sounds of the music for a reason, right? To get you into a hypnotic state, to really get you into nothing. And I totally forgot about that. And I actually didn't know for sure that he did that for a reason. Like I forgot that he made the frequencies of the tracks the way he did too. So it's very well orchestrated and purposely done by him for a reason, you know, because yeah, when you get into nothing, like you said, that's where you can create from. And his meditations, a lot of his meditations, you can create. You can have things come to you through the quantum field and shorten the distance, you know?
Yeah.
Because this is one of his meditations too, is like tuning into potentials. And in that meditation, he has you say you want to like create $500,000, and so you would think about that amount or whatever, or you can call it W, like wealth. You think about that, and that thought, every thought that you have is a frequency and goes into the field. This stuff still blows my mind that I didn't know about this for 31 years.
And we're still learning, right?
Still learning, yeah.
Still learning to believe it too. I feel like that's for me. It's like there are times where it's like, this is so real, and then there's times I'm doubtful, and I'm like, it's kind of bringing it back to that trust, that full belief.
I mean, it is a practice. I mean, I struggle with it all the time. I'm like, why hasn't it happened yet? And then that's when you get, that's not what you're supposed to do.
Because the thought creates separation.
Yeah.
The thought of not having it is creating separation.
Yeah, because it's a frequency. Every thought you have is a frequency, and it goes out into the field, and that's what it affects your life. So yeah, every thought that you have creates a frequency, and so you have that thought of wealth in that meditation, and then what emotions, what would you feel if you had that now? If you had that $500,000 now, would you feel like, you would feel grateful, you would feel joy? What would you do with it? Like I have thoughts, I would give like a lot of it to my mom and sister, like that feeling of like excitement and joy and love. And so that's an emotion, and that comes from your heart, and your heart is a magnet. And so it fucking draws things to you.
The thought is electric, the feeling is magnetic.
Yes, that's it.
The thought sends the signal out, the feeling draws it back to you.
Yes.
And so that is why brain and heart coherence is so important.
Right.
And brain and heart coherence is thought and emotion. Right? I mean, then a thought creates an emotion, creates a thought, creates an emotion, creates a thought and emotion. That's why you could get in negative thought loops, because it's just this cycle of, I'm in fear, so I'm having these thoughts, which is creating more fear, which is creating more thoughts. So it's like the practice of meditation also is helping us to get better at catching those thoughts, so that we can then be like, that's a fearful thought from some pattern or program or experience in the past. It's like catching that and then be like, I don't need to feel that way. I don't need to think that. And no, I'm grateful. And then I close my eyes and I tune into gratitude. And with practice, from my eyes closed, I could genuinely create gratitude in any moment right now.
Right.
As long as I get to a space of like nothing and catch the thought fast, because the more you go into it, the stronger that emotion builds. And so then I have to go like sit with myself for 30, 40
Yes.
minutes to like get back to nothing. And that's a state of
Yes.
creation. And
Yes.
so that's why we show up.
That's why we meditate. But yeah, dude, it is a practice. Like I will practice it my whole life. Like I'm getting better though, and I'm noticing change. That's why I show up every day and meditate at 4 a.m. in the morning, because in these meditations, you can literally create your future, and you can have those things come to you sooner, like wealth or love or health. You know, you can heal yourself too in these meditations. And it's not like you have to do Joe's meditations. You can do any type of meditation and heal yourself.
Truly. Yeah.
And you can just sit in silence. So I just like Joe's meditation because I like to be, I like to create, and I like to, I don't know, my heart gets excited from doing his meditations now because we've been to his events, and yeah, yeah.
He has all the science to back, like all the evidence to back it up. So it's like, it's no longer just woo woo shit.
Exactly.
Evidence is the loudest teacher.
Right. He has the science, like you were saying. It's so simple. Just changing your emotional state and just changing and showing up for yourself. You can create new things, and you'll have synchronicities start happening to you. And then your brain will start to refire and rewire. It's a practice though. You have to just like, and that's one last thing is like, that's why we have like our logo is the brain and the heart,
Yes.
and the mystical hands, because the coherence between those two is the key to everything. So, yeah.
Dude, and I love what he says on all his podcasts. He'll always say people don't do the work to heal. They do the work to change.
Oh my God, dude.
And when they
it's so
change,
hard.
they heal. Because they can't, that old version of themselves doesn't belong in their future.
Yes.
And that's when the healing happens.
Yes.
And so once I've made it more about that and less about the thing, that's when I've received the thing.
Right.
I've created abundance. I've yet to like really create in my 3D. Like I feel it. I know it's there, right? I've been working on creating abundance for a long time, and I feel it all the time.
For sure.
But I have created like small amounts, and I've created really cool experiences. I've created a new job that like just is exactly what I was looking for in my creation,
Right.
Created like little relationships. I've created interactions with people. I've created mystical experiences. I've created some really cool things from that meditation that you were talking about.
Tuning in.
Yeah, and really just getting clear. And one thing I wanted to add is like the practice of emotions and the practice of focus. So meditation is basically the practice of like concentration inward. And I'm going to say a hot take. I know we talked about not doing controversial shit, but I'm going to say it.
Pop it in.
I think ADHD is bullshit. And sure, I haven't done any due diligence on the science of it or whatever. I was actually diagnosed with ADHD. But actually, I think ADHD is just it's just a matter of practice, of focus. If you look at our social media platforms, the first page has 10 different buttons that can take you to 50 different things. And so then you go to YouTube, and now we got shorts, so our attention span's shortening. We're getting trained to shorten our attention span. We're trained to multitask, so there's all these things that we're practicing unconsciously that is spreading our attention and our focus. Meditation, you're focusing on nothing, one thing, which is everything,
Yes.
And I've noticed when we do tuning into new potentials, it's such a matter of focus, because there is a level of focus that needs to be there for you when you are tuning it, when he brings the opportunity to tune into the potentials. And so I noticed lately, because me and my roommates, we've been doing like a group potential where we did a week of it. We did it every day for a week, tuning into the same potential. And I was just, some days, like I would know, like as we progressively do it, I noticed my signal was stronger the more I did it. And then I started to believe it more. I started to feel the emotions more,
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think it's so and I'm not taking away anyone's experience with ADHD. I just like feel like it's kind of a cop out. Like people blame ADHD for their lack of focus. So it's like, how about you just practice focus then?
Yeah.
Go practice balance at the gym. That shit takes pure focus.
Yeah.
You know, you cannot be in your mind when you're trying to balance on a Bosu ball. Like you have to focus on your breath. You can't let anyone else walking by affect you. Like practice things that enhance your focus, and then ADHD will be less of a problem.
Yes.
You know, and maybe spend less time on social media. That's one of my biggest vices, to be honest. That and food are my two biggest vices. Yeah. Other than that, I don't really have an addictive personality, I wouldn't say. I will never identify with that, even if I did, because our words are powerful. Sure. So I wanted to say that real quick. I want
to say one thing with that.
I'll take any heat. Honestly, I really don't give a fuck.
I honestly agree with you because you have to change because everything that we're being thrown at us is fear-based.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you have ADHD, there's a fear behind ADHD. There's a fear behind anxiety, like something's wrong with you, like you're an outcast of sorts. You know, and like for me with anxiety, dude, I literally took anxiety medication. I mean, you know the story, but I took it for 11 years every day. And I thought I would never, ever get off of it, you know? And it was sad, dude. I was like, I can't believe I'm going to be taking this shit my whole life, you know? But thank God for meditation and literally just meditation. And I had to decide to change. Like, I fucking changed.
It's like once you make the decision, truly, because that's when my journey shifted. Or when my journey started, I was like, I'm no longer feeling sad. This is my year to change. I didn't know what that looked like. I just made the decision, the firm intention. And then boom, things start happening. Boom, boom, boom. Then I got into meditation. Boom, boom. Mm-hmm. Then I start changing for real, you know? And so it really is that firm intention. If you don't know where to start with the intention.
Intention, yes.
Just make the decision with your soul, with your whole being, that you want something different.
Yep.
That you're sick of life being dull and emotionless and sad and uneventful when you have the ability to create joy despite your external environment.
Yep.
And that leads me to my practice. Because yes, I do the breath, I do the meditations every day. But after my meditation in the morning, especially lately, I practiced for a while, but lately it's been so important. I spend a little more time, I'll go in the shower and I'm contemplating my day. So that's to get my energy straight. Now I'm kind of creating my day a little bit more, or at least I call it emotional resilience. I'm preparing my emotions for the day. And so I basically make the firm intention, the firm decision that I'm going to live in a state of abundance, or I'm going to live in a state of bliss, or in a state of gratitude throughout the day. And that no matter what happens outside of me, I am not going to falter. And you know what happens is when someone cuts me off, or I get that text message, or someone reacts, I'm prepared. Because I believe success is when preparation meets opportunity. Mm-hmm. And the universe will send us opportunities to make a new decision based on our future. Mm-hmm. So that's us shifting timelines. It's literally shifting, quantum jumping. Yeah. The universe will send us, Dr. Joe says, the universe will send us opportunities disguised as impossible situations.
Oh, fuck, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I see this in an emotional state. As an emotional thing. Well, because an emotion is provoked by an experience based off of our past, right, or a thought based on our past. So it's like someone cuts you off. If you're programmed to fucking get triggered every time someone cuts you off, it's just going to keep happening. Mm-hmm. But if you prepare yourself, you can even use mental rehearsal, which is such a powerful tool. Be like, okay, if someone were to cut me off, I would smile and be like, oh, they're in a hurry today, you know? Right. And then when it happens, boom. I made a new decision. I'm more aligned with my future because that no longer belongs in my future. Nice. And then if you do react, it's really cool because what I'm calling emotional resilience is stronger. And it's like, you identify it because you're aware of it. Then you shift back into the state of joy, bliss, whatever you choose to be your state of being in that moment. So that's what my morning looks like. And I'm actually starting this new practice now for my evenings, where before my meditation, because journaling is huge, right? People talk about journaling, getting clear on how you showed up today.
Yeah.
I kind of hate writing physically. And my friend, my barber, he's been doing video journaling.
Nice.
And I'm starting that.
Oh yeah.
And just to go over my day. Be like, yeah, today, a contemplation, a little journal contemplation. Today I did really good here. I kind of didn't show up how I wanted to here and here. So here's the adjustments I can make, and we go again tomorrow. So you're constantly refining your practice, constantly refining your being based on your future.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Whoa.
I think it's a tool that I'm going to start. I found this journal app that I want to try, and if that doesn't work good, I'm like, maybe we should create one.
Honestly, that's amazing. Yeah, because when you're putting it with your voice and saying it out into the universe, there's something to that.
Exactly. Our words are so powerful. Yeah. I am is you're identifying, you're creating with God in that moment. So that's my practice. And also in those meditations, I'm practicing feeling joy. So, joy is like one that I've been practicing a lot of, because it seems to be easy for me now. And so it's like I'm closing my eyes, getting a state of nothing. And it's like just the thought of joy is provoking some sort of chemical reaction in the body now.
Yeah,
so it's like, oh, I smile. And sometimes forcing a smile is great, because there's scientific evidence of like holding a smile for more than a minute straight changes your state of being.
Yeah.
There is evidence of it.
I've heard of that.
And so it's really cool. And so practicing of emotions and also understanding what emotions are, they're not just these random things that just come out of nowhere. A thought or an experience actually enters your frontal your front brain. I need to do my studying on this again, because I don't remember the names of the parts of the brain. I think it's your neocortex, is your thinking brain. So it enters your thinking brain, moves into I'm just going to say the feeling brain. So thought sends signal to the feeling brain, and that sends chemicals into the body, neuropeptides. And then there's the back part of your brain, which is like the subconscious. So it's like creating the program, so the more you practice it, the more you're creating a program, and then that's how joy becomes your natural state of being, because you're practicing it, and then your brain's registering it, and it's now becoming a natural software program.
Yes.
And so that's what I think emotional intelligence is understanding what emotions are, and understanding that we can actually create them. Like a video game, I'll bring the video game example up, creating emotions like a video inventory wheel. So it's like, I'm going to tune into gratitude, and then I'm going to tune into abundance. Oh yeah, I'm abundant. What does that feel like? Oh, freedom. Oh my God, I'm free. Like, I'm financially free. That feels so good.
Right.
And then gratitude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for this abundance and this freedom. And that is sending signals out, like you said. It's like signal, feeling. Right. And it's so cool, because like I genuinely feel different.
Yeah.
And then when I'm in these states of being, it's like boom, synchronicity, boom, synchronicity, boom, synchronicity. I'm like, yes!
See, they don't teach you this shit in school.
And this is what they need to teach us in school.
I know, because if we knew that we were our creators and not just victims of our life, this whole world would be this. And that's why we're doing this podcast, and that's why people are waking up and talking about this and realizing that we're more than just 3D creatures. We're 5-dimensional beings, and it's so cool to hear you talking about emotion and feeling, because if you practice feeling joy in your meditation and get rid of that external environment, you're going to start to feel joy more. Like, I talk about this on my Instagram today. I was just tuning into your heart, dude. Like, if you don't want to, you don't have, like I said, you don't have to listen to Joe Dispenza's meditations. Just sit with your body, turn on some light music, or even be silent, and just think about your heart. Yeah. Because as you know, the more you start thinking about your heart, the more you start to realize it's been closed off and shut down. And for me, like tuning into my heart, I've been able to create oxytocin and have ecstasy moments of just feeling bliss. It's just, so yeah, it's such a simple thing that we should be taught when we're younger, of just like,
we really should
have fun and change and feel love. Like, you don't need to feel sadness. Like, obviously we're creatures and we're learning that, you know, we do have pain and sadness, but like there's, how long are you going to feel that emotion for, right? Like what Joe says, like, how long do you want to feel sad? You can change, you know? And so, yeah, it's really cool.
It does take effort.
It does. That's the thing. You can't just think it's going to happen. You have to literally change. You have to feel the uncomfortable feeling constantly and get through that feeling. And going back to my meditation practice, that's why I wake up at 4 every day and show up for myself. You know, that's why I do things more often that are uncomfortable. And I've created synchronicities. That's when you're living. If you live more in your heart, you live more in joy and happiness. Like you've said, that's when synchronicities happen to you, because you're at a higher frequency. You know, the low vibrations, that's not where you're going to have things come to you. You're just going to stay in the same pattern.
Technically you will, but you're creating things that you don't really want.
Right.
Like
right.
There's a movie called Beau is Afraid.
So true.
That is so cool because it really depicts the idea of fear, our creatorship, but in terms of fear and anxiety. So it's a movie about this dude that is just anxious all the time and so scared, and then just like the most absurd shit just keeps happening.
Wow.
And like it just like keeps happening, and he's like terrified. And it's such a cool show, such an interesting idea and concept, and I highly recommend anyone watching to watch it, because it really gives you a good idea of what living in fear and anxiety looks like. And and that, to be honest, the shit still happens when you live in a state of joy.
For sure, right?
I mean, I'd be honest, I just went through one of the hardest weeks of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't share why, because it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but it's just not important in this moment. The realization, the reality of it is yeah, I grieved. I felt the emotions for a few days, but then I realized how important it was to elevate my state of being for the people around me that were also struggling.
Yeah.
And I did it. And you know what? I feel so good.
Yeah.
Because despite the circumstances, despite the uncertainty of what might happen in the future with the situations that I'm dealing with, I feel so good.
Well, and you're able to go back into this state quicker because you've been practicing this for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Like the more you do it, the more you can get out of those sad emotions, and like you can change quicker. Because like I just said, you know, how long do you want to feel sadness for? You have that you make that decision, you know, and like I'm doing the same thing. I'm learning too. I still have my ups and downs, but they're getting better. Mm-hmm. They're getting better. I'm able to change my state of mind faster. And I feel bliss and happiness more often because I show up for myself. I change, you know, and then when I don't change, I start to go back into the bullshit. So you're totally right, man.
It's the evidence is clear.
Yeah, a nice job just like flipping your energy and going back into bliss and gratitude, and because that's the key, man. It really is the key.
I mean, I saw a post today and interacted with it today that's like the expansion and retraction process, right? So some people will call it waves, but that almost like implies that you're never growing. Like there's ups and downs, and maybe that is the case for some people, because if you're not growing, then if you're not progressing, you're regressing. I think.
Sure.
I think you're going the opposite direction. So, the idea of, I like to look at as expansion or retraction, and maybe I talked about this in a past pod, but just like as you grow, there is often like a following, like big growth also has a follow-up of a big retraction, which usually is needed for rest and recovery, and also. But a lot of people look at it as waves, and it's like at the bottom of the wave, which is okay, but we also realize that we don't have to like be thrown around by the wave and be miserable. We might be it might be a more challenging time emotionally, and we might have to put more work in. Yeah. But we also can have like an underlying sense of peace, which Jordan talks about, and he embodies great when he's struggling. It's just a bigger picture of peace in this small moment of time of struggle. Right. It's also important when you are going through those bottoms or those retraction periods to really be gentle with yourself. Yeah. That's a reminder for myself, because I tend to hold myself to a high standard. And I have been hard on myself for not doing the work when I don't feel like it, or sleeping more than I think I should, or
Right.
but I wanted to bring up the definition of consistency that I saw the other day, because it's all about consistency. But a lot of times our idea of consistency is like it looking the same, us going hard and just fighting through it. But really, consistency is just showing up. Just showing up. Like, you go to the gym, you made it to the gym.
Right.
Maybe you only went for 15 minutes, but that's what you had that day. But maybe you just got there and 15 minutes turns into an hour and you end up having the best session of your life. It's going to look different every time. But consistency is showing up. And meditation doesn't always look amazing. It doesn't always feel amazing. Sometimes it's me fighting my mind the whole time, and it's like I finish a meditation and I'm like, damn, I didn't get to where I wanted to go.
Yep.
But what if I didn't show up? What would that day have looked like if I didn't show up?
Exactly.
And battle my thoughts for an hour? I would have been irritated more easily.
Right.
I would have gotten angry at things in my external environment. But that work allowed me to shift at some point faster in the day. Because sometimes I don't shift. Sometimes I am in my shit in my meditation, and then I'm still in my shit as I'm like preparing breakfast, but I'm like, I'm still doing the practice while I'm doing my daily things.
Right.
And then it's like, then I get to like work or whatever I'm doing for the day, and I'm like, oh, I'm here. I made it. I get to keep this state of being now.
Yep.
Because if you're doing it with your eyes closed, then that's it. I think I talked about this last time. It's pointless. It's practicing with your eyes closed so that you can do it with your eyes open. So you can do it in your waking day. Yep. So you can show up and be present and have conversations and create at all times. So
that's a challenge. Yep.
That is. And that's why we do walking meditations, because you are practicing with your eyes open. And then one thing I wanted to bring up is floodlight awareness, how you can tune into nothing with your eyes open. And so it's like, right now I'm focusing on this cup right here, which I don't know if anyone can see, but it's like, it's pure focus. But then floodlight awareness is like using my eyes to have a spread focus to everything. And you'll notice a difference in your focus, at least in your thought and your mind. It starts to create like a meditative space. Because your focus is on everything instead of one thing or something. So it's like Dr. Joe talks about becoming someone, somewhere, and sometime, to no one, nowhere, nothing, and no time, to everyone, everything, everywhere, and every time. That's like the process of the brain waves and meditation, like all of it coming together. And in those states of being is when you have profound experiences, you have insights, you have answers to your solution, to your problems.
Right.
It's where you change, it's where you create from.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of reasons for meditation.
Yeah. I'm just glad you brought up consistency because, yeah, I mean, the more you meditate, the more you're going to see change. And like you said, there's meditations that are really bad, that you feel that are really bad, but they're never bad, right? Like every meditation, I've said this before, is a fucking good meditation. And it's so true. Like you got to keep showing up for yourself. And you don't know when that bad meditation that you thought was bad, where you had a million thoughts, will shift your day, and it will come out of nowhere too. And the more you have a consistent practice, the more, the more that you are in those less lower the more that you're,
You got it?
The more that you're not in those lower frequencies.
Yeah, I think that is it. I think it's a good short session. We have some exciting guests coming up in the next few months.
Yeah.
That have really cool passions and really cool things to share with the world. And
yes,
we just want to highlight them.
Well, that's the end of that. That was a fun flow.
It was really nice. Got to share a few things that have come up in my life recently. So
yeah, I think there's just so much to talk about, and we're really excited to have other people on, and also just have these conversations between me and you still, because there's stuff that comes up and it brings good conversation, and it, you know, even just asking basic questions of like your meditation practice can be such a big thing for people. So
we just want to show the importance of it, and also like we don't overcomplicate it, you know.
exactly, it's
Just show up and try. There's no right or wrong way.
no, that's it.
So
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
yeah, thank you.
Episode 5. We appreciate you guys, and keep living in bliss. Blissed out.
Fuck
yeah, dude. Nice.
I love you.
Good work, dude.
Your hair's looking great, by the way.
Thanks, man.
It's
Yeah, this
luscious.
is. I've never had it this long, so this is a whole new world for me. Nice.